Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Family drama. The gift that keeps on giving and giving and giving. Or should I say taking? Today on rLounge, sometimes dealing with family takes everything we've got just to keep her cool. Up first, diamond earrings become the center of a heated battle. My parents want to give my sister the earrings my grandma left for me. This story is so weird. When I, 27 female, was 20 years old, I was in a relationship, friends with benefits situation with a guy, now 40 male. It was messy. We were on and off for almost 5 years. He was always clear he wasn't ready for a relationship, and I was always clear I was madly in love with him. Every time I got tired of the situation and wanted to leave, somehow he convinced me to stay. Because love is free. We have so much time together. He wasn't ready for commitment. I asked advice to my sister, now 42 female, and she gave me some crappy advice like made him compromise, leave stuff at his place, and basically turn him into a boyfriend until it was too late for him to say no. I never managed to do that because I wanted him to love me as much as I loved him, not trap him. During the last night I spent at his place, he said he wanted to try something more serious with me. Talked about some dates he planned, etc. Only to ghost me forever. It was hard. This was the first person I loved and he treated me like crap. 6 months passed and my sister came home. We both lived with our parents, saying she wanted to introduce her brand new boyfriend. She had to have tons of boyfriends, but she said this was the one. It was a dinner only with my parents at our home, so I was excluded and expected to just go out or chill in my room. The day came and while they were dining, I ordered a pizza. I came downstairs only to find the guy that I was with 6 months prior dining with my parents and sister. I was shocked, but paid for my pizza and went to my room again to cry. After dinner was over, I confronted my sister in front of her parents and begged her to not be with him, to be loyal to me, her little sister. There was no way she didn't know who he was. I had showed her pictures of him, his social media, where he worked, and she even knew where he lived. They never met because he didn't want to meet my family and never introduced his. But she knew who he was, and she excluded me from that dinner because she knew. She said they met by chance after we stopped seeing each other. She knew how hard that rupture was. She knew how painful it was to not have even a closure. He just stopped replying, not even blocking me, just left me there wondering after 5 years. She knew that during those 6 months, I was still hurting. I know how it was my fault. I was too naive and thought if I stayed long enough, he would be ready for the relationship I wanted and would learn to love me. Stupid, I know. She defended herself, saying it was a coincidence and chemistry was there. She loved him and she wasn't going to lose the love of her life. This stuff only happens once in a lifetime. When I was in my early 20s, I would believe that. However, now I know that there are 8 billion people in this world. There's no one love of your life. You can find the love of your life multiple times if you look for it. My parents sided with her and said I should get over it since we never have a real relationship. 1.5 years have passed. I've been excluded from multiple family gatherings because he would be around and my family thinks I would bring negative vibes since I'm still bitter about everything. I have no feelings for him, but I feel betrayed by my sister and my parents. He is just a POS in my eyes now. My sister is now 6 months pregnant. Due to her age, she had been extremely pampered by my parents. She still lives at home and is going to move with him maybe 2 months after the baby is born. Then they're going to marry. In my culture, it's normal that if a woman gives birth, moves back, or stays with her mom, so the mom will help with the baby for the first months. A week ago, my sister's friends made a surprise baby shower. I happened to be at home. I tried to talk to them. I don't know why, maybe because my sister and I were too close before, and I'm sad we're no longer friends. But her friends acted like I wasn't there, and only replied to me with, yes, no, or silence, as if I was the one that created this mess, or I was a homewrecker, or I tried to seduce my sister's man. I was planning to move already. I was saving money, etc. But after that, I left immediately to a friend's house. I'm in the process to find my own place. 2 days ago, I received a call from my parents asking me to have a talk. I went to their house and they informed me that the diamond earrings my grandma left me will be given to my sister. Those earrings have been in my family for 4 generations, and before my grandma died, she said the earrings will be mine, and my sister will receive a gold necklace. My grandma trusted my parents with the earrings. There was no will or anything, she just asked to give it to me when I was mature enough to appreciate and take care of the family heirloom. Now, my parents think since my sister is getting married first and is having grandma's first great-grandchild, my sister should have it. I'm really mad now. They're robbing me of something my grandma left to me. I don't think my parents are evil. I think they were too worried my sister wouldn't marry due to her age. Again, in my culture, a single woman in her 40s is something to worry for her family. And now that she's forming a family, they want to reward her with everything. But I was the closest to my grandma. She made it clear the earrings will be mine, not my sister's. Not the first one to marry or have a child, but mine. After 2 years of being excluded in favor of my sister, I gave the ultimatum to my parents. They give the earrings to me as my grandma intended, or I will cut them from my life forever. Not gonna lie, the idea of cutting my family off is too painful, but I feel they already made me and still makes me so wrong, I don't want them in my life anymore. I feel a little shallow fighting over this, but those are the only things my grandma left, so they are not entitled to them. Let's see what the community says. Our first reaction says, OP gets ghosted and 6 months later, older sister is effing her ex? Also, sister thereafter is super defensive about her partner? Who wants to bet she was seeing the OP's boyfriend before they broke up, and that's why he ghosted her? OP, for F's sake, get the earrings if you can, and then never talk to any of these people again. Your parents and sister are awful, and they will keep harming you if you allow them to stay in your life. Also, I suspect they only want to give your sister those earrings since she asked for them, knowing they are yet another thing of yours she can take. The next person responds, honestly, do this. It's not theft to take your own property. Your whole extended family knows the earrings were left to you. It's actually illegal to go against the last will and testament of someone who has passed in some countries. Honestly, OP, I truly recommend you go no contact with your family. If you decide to marry and have children, your children will never be treated the same as your sisters, because they don't even treat you as equal to your sister. As the kid who was the least favorite child of their father, it's not worth it to keep these people around to abuse you. While I cannot 100% confirm that your sister was seeing your ex behind your back while you were together, I'm very certain that's likely the case. Even if she didn't cheat with him, the fact she started dating him in the first place is worthy of disowning. Even if your relationship had been healthy and ended amicably, it would have been wrong for her to pursue a relationship with him. But she knew he abused you. She knew he treated you badly. She knew who he was when she got with him. This was not a case of mistaken identity. She deliberately went out of her way to date the ex who treated you badly and wouldn't commit to you, probably because she wanted to prove she could get him when you couldn't. Your parents also knew. It's why you were conveniently left out of the introduction dinner. They all knew what was going on, and your feelings didn't count in the equation. I'm sorry if what I'm saying hurts you, but I feel I need to say it, because you deserve to move on and have a better life, without your abusive family ruining it. My father has literally treated me like crap all my life. I know it's hard to cut people off. You're used to the status quo and fear change. We all do. It's why it took me years to cut off my father. It was hard at first, but I cut him off over 3 years ago, and my only regret is that I didn't cut him off long before. I feel so much better about myself. I feel free. It's a great feeling. So all I can say, OP, is take your inherited earrings and go no contact. Be prepared for your parents and sister to try and contact you, if or when you decide to have kids, citing family as an excuse. Also, expect them to try and smear you for taking the earrings. If anyone asks why, explain the situation. I doubt they'll call the police because you can prove through your other family members that they were left to you as an inheritance. So they might try to convince you to bring them back, block them, and live your best life. There is so much truth in the comments here. Although it's not going to be easy, I think it's ultimately what's best for you. To speak to your sister about some guy who isn't really the best guy out there, and then for her to go and date this guy who is mistreating her sister like it obviously means she doesn't really care all too much about you. Not only that, but the earrings. If you were promised them, then those should be rightfully yours. They don't belong to your sister. And just because she's now dating the man that you were trying to be with, doesn't mean that you should be excluded from family events. It sounds like they've already cut you out, OP. Doesn't seem like there's much more for you to do. What do you think? Is OP being dramatic, or are her feelings and actions warranted? Next up, a Christmas list that makes Santa's naughty list seem reasonable. My cousin sends our family her child's Christmas list each year, and it's completely insane. Every November, I, 24 female, receive a dreaded text in our extended family group chat from my cousin, 35 female. The text includes a highly detailed Christmas list from her 5-year-old, who we'll call Penny. The items are always expensive, obscure, and very hard to find. Additionally, she expects us to reply with the item we have purchased that sends back the updated list with that item checked off. Each year, there's exactly the number of items for people in the chat, And once people hurry to claim the cheapest ones, they're left with $100 to $300 items to choose from. My cousin is an only child, and her mom caters to this, as well as her dad, but the rest of us are getting pretty sick of it. Last year, someone didn't follow the list and said they'd already bought something else in the group chat, and she responded that isn't what Penny wants this year, which made them feel guilty for not adhering to the insanity. Now some backstory. Penny has autism, is nonverbal, and the sweetest child ever. My cousin and her husband are good parents for the most part, but they're a little self-focused. For example, they're both collectors of things like manga and toys and lose their minds if Penny touches their things, and the home is full of their collections. They have an entire room dedicated to this, which they call the fun room, and their daughter isn't allowed in. Not so fun. Now here's the kicker. The items on the list are almost always part of a collection. Either vintage, certain edition for this or that, and tons of Beanie Babies. They have started a toy collection similar to their own for Penny, but it's a list of things I've never seen her enjoy or show much interest in. One year, the most excitement she showed was for the box, and she loves Disney movies and Paw Patrol, but never has gotten gifts related to these things. Also, we suggested some gifts like a toy kitchen or something interactive and sensory, and they shut that down in favor of expensive Lego. Star Wars Lego? She's 5. I know dang well that's going straight to Daddy's fun room. This year, I'm getting her an Ariel doll and matching dress. I'm stopping the madness. Let's see how the community judges this. First up, what I do is have everyone claim one item from the list, but buy the stuff you all think Penny would like, and then the day of say, oh, sorry, we couldn't afford, get it in time, and so we bought this instead. I'd also ask to see what you got her last year, so you could play and build it with her. Insist on it. And then, when they produce it out of their room or don't produce it, call them out for it in front of everyone. Ask everyone to insist on seeing their presents. Someone else chimes in. It's very impressive a nonverbal child has such an elaborate wish list they insist on receiving things from. Maybe someone else in the family can buy the Paw Patrol figures, and if they have a car or something, and unbox them and put them in a cute cardboard suitcase for them to stay in. That way, they aren't collectibles either, and the child may even have her fantasies stimulated. It is very sad she doesn't have a play kitchen and play food, as it's a great way to practice interaction and pretend play. A doctor set is also a good way to practice interaction and help kids understand doctor visits. Please keep standing up for Penny's rights to fun toys. It's so important. You actually see her. Edit. It's apparently called paperboard suitcase in English. I'm a Lego native. Someone else chimes in. I would call them out both in the group chat and in person when y'all open gifts. Call out anyone who actually buys something off the list, too. These parents are taking advantage of the fact that their neurodivergent child is nonverbal, and the people buying off the list to avoid feeling guilty are only enabling that. Penny is 5. She absolutely doesn't want vintage anything, and Star Wars Lego sets are almost certainly too complicated and dangerous for someone her age. All those tiny parts? Easy choking hazard. Also, if they lose their minds at a neurodivergent 5-year-old for touching stuff that is within reach, it's no wonder the kid is nonverbal. Why did these people even have a kid? Sounds like your cousins are just asking for gifts that are adding to their own personal collection. These gifts don't sound like they're for Penny at all. You're right to not want to give off this list because the list sounds like BS. Or, if the gift that Penny wants is expensive, maybe a bunch of people could go in together and buy one big gift for her. It's as simple as that. What would you do? Lastly, parents try to ask this OP to schedule a C-section like they're booking a spa day. My mom is insistent that I have a C-section so that she and my dad can schedule their visit for the birth of my daughter. I don't know where to begin. I just need a place to vent. I, 31 female, am due to have my first baby in just over 5 weeks' time. My pregnancy was a surprise, and it's been a difficult 8 months thus far. Although low risk, I've experienced every symptom you can imagine, from intense morning sickness to migraines and carpal tunnel syndrome. I've also faced some pretty intense discrimination at work despite maintaining a high rate of performance throughout the year. All of this to say, it's been a rough year. I've had little support from my family this year, and their nonsense has seemingly known no bounds. Since around May, they've been asking my partner and I to make the 10-hour drive interstate for Christmas so that we could spend it with them. This would be fine, but my doctor has repeatedly told me not to do this, as I'll be 36 weeks, and at that point, I am prone to blood clots. Despite this, they've continued to pester my partner and I about it. At one point, they promised coming to us for Christmas, but then swiftly shut down their idea when they immediately realized it would be an inconvenience to them. Recently, my dad was diagnosed with some health problems of his own, which he's been told is completely treatable with surgery and some medication. Regardless, I have called every other day to check up on him and see how he's doing. In the last weeks, my mom has started telling me how awful birth was for her and every other woman on both sides of my family. I kid you not, every time she calls, she encourages me to plan a C-section and drops some new details about a relative who had a traumatic birth experience. I have told her that her comments are unhelpful, and she's known for months that I don't want a C-section if I can help it. She constantly says things like, "If I had my time again, I'd plan a C-section," as if it's an easier option. I wondered why she started down this path until she started making comments about Dad's treatment plan and appointments, such as, "We might be able to make it out to see you both for a few days in January, but Dad might have to go to an appointment on the 18th and then again on the 31st. And then after that, we can't visit for a while because Dad might need a surgery." I snapped and told her that I would not and could not plan the birth of my child around their schedule and that they shouldn't bother coming. They haven't even asked my partner or I if we even want extended family present directly after birth. We don't. I was so scared about the birth and was starting to feel somewhat comfortable with the idea of it all when my mom started making these comments. Every time I've told her that I'm upset about their comments or their lack of normal, healthy support, my mom has told me that I'm just hormonal and that everyone else has their own thing going on. I'm so sick of their crap and ready to cut them off for some time. I feel like they've made the birth of my little girl all about them. They've compared the potential surgery my dad might need to my birth, talking about catheters and IV drips, like I won't need a similar setup, particularly if I go down the C-section route. When they did come to visit earlier in the year, they made comments about what I was eating. I was 24 weeks pregnant at that point. One of my unhealthy options was a few chocolates after dinner. I don't even know what to say or do. All of this has made me reflect on my childhood, and I can't help but feel sad about that too. I've spent the last few weeks just crying about it all, and I'm so tired of venting about it to my partner. Thanks for reading if you've come this far. I just needed to vent. Now some opinions from the community. First up, do not tell your mom when the baby is born. Wait until a couple of days after. The OP replies, "That is my plan. Even if I end up needing to plan a C-section, she won't be told about it." Next person says, "As a mama ready to pop just like you, it's time to cut them off. It's your body and your birth, and they have chosen to be selfish and disrespectful of your wishes. This will extend to ignoring wishes like, don't kiss the baby, or what not to feed them. You need to put your foot down. You're not being over-emotional. You don't owe your parents anything. No, you need to ensure that first and foremost, you and the baby are healthy. That includes mentally. If you can't handle no contact, go low contact, but you are going to have a beautiful baby to focus on soon and don't deserve this disrespect." The OP replies, "Thank you for this. It's been my concern too that they'll blatantly ignore my other boundaries such as get your shots, don't kiss the baby. I hope you've been doing well too. The third trimester is really bloody trying. I hope you've had a lot of love and support from your family and friends." Someone else chimes in, "Given that your mother is not your OBGYN, you need to tell her that, and tell her that you'll be following medical advice, not sideshow advice. And honestly, a C-section is a major surgery. Any kind of surgery runs the risk of complications and dying, so there are no doctors out there that are doing unwarranted C-sections. Get your mother to shut up. I would literally lie to her face. I would tell her that I had already talked to my doctor about this, and I've been told that there is no way I will be having a C-section unless it is medically warranted." The OP replies, "Exactly. A C-section is a major surgery. Her take on it is honestly insulting. I have friends who've needed C-sections and they didn't speak about the experience highly. One of my friends was medically required to deliver all 3 of her babies this way, and even though she would love another baby now that they're older, she'd been told that she can't. I doubt I'll want 3 or more kids myself, but it still speaks to how imperfect the procedure is." Someone else says, "This is wild to me. Does the insurance company still cover it if it's not considered medically necessary? I always learn the most interesting things on Reddit. But I think I would still lie to mom and just tell her that that's what my doctor said. If it's not medically necessary, they won't do it. I have 3 daughters, and I literally cannot imagine me telling them how to run their lives, much less their pregnancy." The OP replies, "I'm in Australia, and you can elect to have a C-section here, and yes, it's covered by private insurance, and I think partially by our Medicare system. My OBGYN has said some women come in and ask for it straight out of the gate, which floored me. I didn't think it was something that I could choose to do until a more recent appointment. Regardless, every woman I've known who's either had a C-section or who's getting one is doing so because it's medically the safest option due to other risk factors such as previous pelvic injuries. Don't listen to a word your mother says. It's your body and you can do whatever you want. And just like the comments say, she has no business telling you what to do. And a C-section is a major surgery. Despite how nonchalant it's often treated, I can't imagine how challenging this must be for you, especially during such a significant time in your life. Pregnancy is always such a wild ride, and having unsupportive family members can add an extra layer of unnecessary stress. Prioritizing your mental health and the safety of your newborn is paramount. Don't tell your parents anything else. Continue on your merry way. What do you make of OP's parents? What should OP do? Thank you for following along today in the rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to share regarding today's content, we want to hear it. See you soon.